What's going on, muscle monsters? Elian Gonzalez here, and today I want to talk about a lot of the mistakes that people make when they first begin weight training. Okay, some of these mistakes are mistakes that I made in the past, and if you can learn from my mistakes, that would be great because it would save you a lot of time. Okay, and so the first thing that I see is people are not giving themselves enough time to grow. Okay, in the beginning of your weight training career, your sole focus as a naturally skinny guy should be to put on as much muscle as possible. Okay, it's not about having abs or, you know, striations on your arms or shoulders. It's about putting on as much muscle mass as possible. And a lot of the time, when we aim for gaining muscle mass, we're going to gain some fat as well. The problem is that as soon as our six-pack isn't as visible, we want to cut. We think we're fat and we want to get lean again. And so what ends up happening is this vicious cycle where you bulk up a little bit, you gain some fat, you haven't gained any significant amount of muscle, but now you're spending more time burning that additional fat than you did actually putting on muscle, and ultimately you end up close to where you began, right? And then you're skinny again, so you say, fuck, I need to gain muscle again. You bulk up, you gain a little bit of fat, you miss your abs, and you kind of go back and forth through this cycle that ultimately is leaving you skinny and weak, right? Now, in some cases, you will gain more muscle, right? And you won't actually end up back where you started, but you certainly aren't maximizing this quote-unquote magical time of your training where you can be making the best gains of your life, right? So instead of focusing on having visible abs or striations or getting photo shoot ready, what you need to focus on is building a solid foundation, gaining as much muscle as possible while you can gain muscle mass quickly, which typically is within the first 2 years of your training. Okay? The next mistake I see a lot of guys make is that they're not tracking their nutrition, right? Naturally skinny guys usually are told, hey, you just need to eat more, so they start stuffing their face. And in the beginning, because they are eating more than usual, right? Because consciously they're making the decision to eat more food, they end up in a surplus and they start gaining weight, which is great. However, at some point or another, because you're not tracking, you are going to stall. And when you stall, usually all you have to do is go back to look at your calories and say, okay, well, I'll just increase them by, 200, 250 and continue. But if you're not tracking your calories and you have no idea how much you're eating, then you don't know how much to increase your calories by, right? And even if you said, okay, well, I need to eat 250 calories more a day, you wouldn't even know what you're adding that 250 to, right? So you need to figure out either your total calorie intake and track your weight daily, get averages every week and make sure that average is going up, and when it doesn't, adjust the calories or track your macros. Now, if you're a beginner, right, I wouldn't advise going as far as tracking every single macronutrient and weighing everything out, things of that nature. What I would recommend is the ballpark method, something I talk about a lot, where you multiply your body weight by 20, and that's the amount of calories you consume in order to gain weight. Track your weight daily. At the end of each week, get an average, and when that average stalls, just increase the calorie intake, right? And instead of plugging everything into an app and trying to figure out if you're getting enough protein, fats, and carbs, when you're eating that much calories, you are going to hit your carbs, your protein, and your fats just from the sheer volume of calories, okay? And with this approach, all you really have to do is guesstimate servings and just make sure that you're doing this consistently. Okay? That way, once you stall, you know, okay, I just add 250 calories and you continue growing. All right? So you got to track your nutrition. And then last but not least, a lot of people aren't tracking their workouts. In the beginning, you're able to add 5 to 10 pounds to each lift pretty much every session, right? So you don't necessarily have to track because you know, okay, last week I did 95 on the bench. This week I'll do 100 and so on and so forth. However, there will come a point in time where the progression slows down, right? And so your progression, instead of being 5 pounds on a specific lift, might be a rep or two. And once that starts happening, it's kind of hard to keep track of your total workload unless you're writing it down. And unless you know how much you've done, you don't know how much you should aim for. And when you don't have a goal, you're kind of just going into the gym and mindlessly moving the weight around. Now, if you did track your workouts, however, and you know, okay, I did 135 pounds for 3 sets of 10, but on the last set, I only did 7, then you know that you at least need to get 8 on that last set in order to progress, right? So start tracking your workouts. And I know this is all very basic shit, but the problem is that it's so simple that we ignore it, right? When something is so basic, we tend to forget that it's very important, right? And so those are the mistakes that I see most people making that are ruining your ability to maximize your newbie gains in the gym, which are the biggest gains that you can expect to get throughout your entire lifting career. All right, so they are critical. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you found that helpful. If you did, click the like button below. If you're looking for a full program and diet plan to follow, grab Mass in a Flash. It's completely free. I'll put the link below. Just go there, put your name and your email address, and you'll get instant access to that. Don't forget, give yourself time to grow. Make sure you know exactly what you're eating or how much you're eating, and track your workouts so you have a goal every time you walk into the gym. Talk soon.